So the Chilean protests have been going pretty crazy. And right now that might be, I don't know if it's appropriate to say or not, but it might be my most self-interested protest that's going on around the world. Because they're fighting directly against income inequality. They are fighting against unfair austerity towards them. And by them, I mean the working class and the poor of Chile. And so what triggered it at first was this 30 cents tax hike on transportation. And this is an extremely poor country when we're not considering the upper class. And a 30 cents tax hike for a lot of people was make or break whether they're going to be able to get to work or get to, a place with food or water or something like that. And it triggered these protests, and they want a new constitution that guarantees them their own rights. And they want an ousting of their president.
Yeah, 78% of Chileans want a new constitution. I think this all started with some kid, a college student, hopping the turnstile.
That's Chiles History. Yeah. Is the kids leading these revolutions.
Yeah. Well, but that's everywhere, though. It's always the younger people, younger citizens taking charge. Mm-hmm. It's getting to the point where they're like shooting down drones with like laser pointers. Yeah, stuff like it.
They're hopping over the fare gates and stuff like that.
It's a lot of stuff that goes on that you like that seems like it's coming out of a movie, but then you have to take a step back and realize that these people are fighting for things that come naturally to them.
Stuff that we take it for granted in this country all the time. I don't want to sound like one of those right wingers pull yourself up by the bootstrap people, but there are certain things that we do take for granted in this country.
Yeah, the fact of what we're doing right now. This could be a punishable offense even by death if you do things like this and openly speak out against things. But in Chile, it's the same. A lot of these countries have not had independence for that long, and they were governed by the remaining, what would you call it, oligarchy from the European class system. And they're just now becoming out of that, like, no, I want my voice and I want to say it as well.
They want their freedoms.
Yeah, it's all over a lot of South and Central America and Africa as well. They just want to be involved in what their country actually is. Like we vote on everything and we elect people democratically that they can vote on stuff here.
Right.
And in our best interest. That doesn't happen in these other places.
That's how you get coups all of a sudden.
Exactly.
That just occur and are accepted.
Yeah. We've got to kind of push things forward past like just the basic rights. In a lot of these things, it's their pension is messed up, their entire retirement structure. It's basically next to nothing, and it amounts to like $100 US a month. Yeah, which is
nothing. You're asking people to live off of this stuff. You're asking people to provide roofs over their house,
family,
support family.
Like you can't create a future for somebody. You can't go to school. You can't afford to get to work. So the pension that you would have got there was nothing. You're not even getting that because you're not getting a check because you can't get to work. Yep. Like if I came to you and I took your car and then charged you to use your car, would you accept that?
Absolutely.
We're in Chicago. Public transportation everywhere. If a 7-day pass went from, I don't know, whatever it is, like $14 or whatever, and it suddenly jumped up.
I wish 7-day passes were $14.
I don't know.
They're $33.
Oh, shit. Okay, so if it went from $33, to $56, and just overnight, and you're like,
yeah, like
how am I supposed to do
the
this?
fair gate every single time. I feel like doing that now, but absolutely. What you have is yet again another referendum on my favorite word, neoliberalism. It does not last and it does not work because it naturally benefits far too much on the capital side and not the human side. And so you have when we have impoverished situations, when we're only doing stuff that benefits the wealthy, the well-to-dos, then that naturally creates an even bigger crater of poverty. And it creates desperate people and it creates desperate situations where people have no choice but to protest. And just for context purposes, the 30-cent increase that they had is for their currency system is equivalent to 4 cents for us. So that's just how impoverished and how messed up their economic situation is in that country, is that they can't even handle a surcharge of 4 cents for them to get back and forth to wherever they need to go to. And it naturally creates that level of resentment. It creates a sense of being left behind and forgotten about. And this is what's going to be happening in America pretty soon, because there's so many cities in our country, so many places in our country, communities that reflect a lot of these places that, some people say, oh, well, you're lucky to be in America. But that's not always the case, because there's people in rural America, there's people in inner cities, there's people that are all over this country that are living in impoverished communities that are similar to underdeveloped nations, and
no running water.
No running water, and the running water that does run is dirty and contaminated. No healthy food to eat anywhere near you. Nothing positive to see. Is you just get these abandoned buildings, like all types of things that contribute to this. And there's a reason why around the globe now, with Chile, with Hong Kong, with what looks like is going to be a long, hard-fought battle in Bolivia for which direction the country is going to go in. And so many spots in this country, you're seeing a reaction to a failed political system that tried to create a global rule and a global order of let's just make all the wealthy people more wealthy and let's leave everybody else behind. A failure of that Reaganomics trickle-down stuff that just has been disproven over. I don't know if an economic theory has been disproven more and more and more than the trickle-down economics approach. And you're seeing this retaliation, and you're going to continue to see this retaliation because people are sick and people are tired and people want to have, dignified lives, and they want to work in a dignified job. And this is not an American issue. This is not a Hong Kong issue. This is a global issue around this country. Around this world. It is a human issue. And it affects so many of us to have it to where, I think it's like 3 people or 6 people in the entire world own more wealth than the bottom 60% of the global population. Yeah. That is insane. That's disgusting. It's unnecessary. Nobody needs $1 billion to survive anyway, but to continuously sacrifice people's well-being and their ability to keep their head above water, their ability to live a respectable life, it creates resentment, and it creates these vitriolic reactions that we get to see around the globe and in this country. And the more that we go in this direction of neoliberalism and destroying this world and destroying the working class around this world, the more you're going to see is a global rising of the working class that is going to try to upend this system.
History is doomed to repeat itself. Mm-hmm. Throughout history, you've had many different revolutions, and they all start at the bottom. Mm-hmm. It is very rare that the top hierarchy is
they have no reason to they have no reason to
revolt. Comfortable.
The only time that happens is somebody wants to take power for themselves, so they start a revolution.
It is always some economic strife. Mm-hmm. And a capitalistic society is doomed to fail without a socialism undertone to it.
Exactly.
If you look at America, the only reason that we are still the way that we are is because we have socialistic undertones to our entire way of life. welfare, roads. Even if you want to go to the top and you want to go to Wall Street, we bailed out Wall Street.
We bailed them out. Times. We have socialism for everybody who's rich.
We have a social safety net for pretty much everyone.
Yeah.
There are some that are left out, the downtrodden, the 500,000 that are sleeping on the
streets. Well, I think that absolutely. And I think that in addition to those people that are out there on the streets, there's going to always be in a capitalist society that core of people who are without homes, who are without their ability to get food, without their ability to get water. They really are left out and left behind. That's why you get, people like Boris Johnson and you get people like Donald Trump who rise to the top. And even on the left side, you get people like Justin Trudeau and Emmanuel Macron who rise to the top. And they're all rising on these false messages of hope. And of course, we're going to give you, what you've always deserved and things like that.
You have to have both. If you don't have both, you don't have a social safety net and you don't have something that pushes the lower to a level that is somewhat sustainable.
Yes.
There will always be a lower class. There will, in any economy, any social system, unless you have a pure socialist system where everything is set forth and whatever you make is completely redistributed into the state. But even that's not fair.
That's ideal.
That's
an idealistic.
That's the utopian society that will never exist. In the real world, it's always going to be a lower class, and it's always going to be a class beneath the lower class that can't even reach the floor of the lower class.
Right, absolutely.
If you don't have a way out or some type of inspiration, like if you come from an impoverished area and you see people go to college, get a degree, become some type of professional, and they give you an example that hope is possible. Like you can change, you can move forward, you can be better than where you're from. You can keep a class system the way it is because you have success stories. If nobody is successful, but these people, you're going to have the fueling of a revolution, the fueling of some type of coup, of a revolt in any way, shape, or form. If the lower class in America did not get food stamps, health care, anything like that, and they were left completely to fend on their own and go deeper and deeper into debt and not know if they're going to eat tomorrow at all, it would be a second American Revolution. They would be marching on Washington. It would be the exact same thing. These people are fighting for what we naturally have. We have a social safety net. We have a Bill of Rights that is not, it's inalienable. You cannot tell me that I can't say something. If I wanted to say that I'm the King of England, I can say I'm the King of England. And nobody can tell me I'm wrong. Regardless of how stupid something may be or how true something may be, we both have the same rights. If it's wrong, racist bigotry, hatred, you can say that, but there are social consequences to that. But legally,
that's part of freedom of speech.
You can say that. It's your right. If you want to praise God to the Most High, you have that right as a freedom of speech, and you have that right as a freedom of religion. These other countries don't have that. They've got,
and a lot of these countries don't even have like social welfare programs.
They don't. It's nothing. It's that there's no retirement. You work until you die. And if you can't continue to work, hopefully your kid that's old enough, that's now 13, can now has the back strength to go out and
do the work
and go be a farmer or a field hand, whatever it may be. Like
work in a factory of an American or Canadian or Chinese manufacturing company,
making pennies on dollars, and the American company is making money hand over fist. It's the systematic. It is systematic poverty. It's a lot what people experience in here in the United States. If you were born poor, and 9 times out of 10, you're going to die poor.
The chances of you making it into the next class is very slim. Very slim.
It is hard to make it from a poverty level to what's left of the middle class. Because your education is not going to be as good. Your opportunities are not going to be as good. So you won't get those same advantages that someone else will get if they were in a better school district or they lived in a nicer area, regardless of race.
And you put that on a macro scale for a whole country to go through something like that. It's
you got these countries where it's not like here where we got what's the unemployment rate right now, 8% or something.
The real unemployment rate is between 8 and 10%.
Okay. So in these countries, their unemployment rate is like 40%.
Yeah, it's pretty stark.
And our poverty line here, you're affluent.
I think
rich.
if you make like $30,000 a year, you're like in the top 1% of the world of the global economic scale, which tells you everything you need to know about underdeveloped countries.
It is. This has been in the making for maybe the last 100 or so years.
Yeah.
When all of these empires started to crumble between World War I and World War II, and then you have like Britain, who went from an imperialistic empire to a some type of, it's like a conglomerate. They got a new phrase for it. We'll get back to that. But where it's loose alliances, where technically a lot of these countries are still under the British crown, like Canada, Australia, and all of these things. Like it versus how it used to be, where you're directly under this person or under this country. Now these countries have only had freedom for a little bit. It's like it's like the period between 1776 and like 1815. America was a fledgling, and we didn't know what we were doing. We did a lot of things wrong. We built, we grew, we expanded. But the difference between then and now is then the world was vastly unexplored and borders weren't set. Now borders are set, and this is your country. This is what you have to do with. And a lot of these borders are ambiguously like drawn, and they're just lines on a map, and it splits a lot of things culturally, ethnically, and it's all culminating now because people can communicate more. They have more information available to them. They see what other people have. They're trying to keep up with the Joneses. We're the Joneses because they want what we have.
Yeah, that's why they're fighting for their freedoms right now, fighting for a new constitution. And, just having a Bill of Rights is a lot. That's what Hong Kong's fighting for. It's like an extended Bill of Rights, essentially, the law of to live. And, this is, to me, a preview of what's getting ready to hit this country in a significant way. And I don't say that lightly. I've been saying it for a number of years now, and I don't say that lightly. But at some point in time, even a sleeping population, even, compared to the rest of many countries of this, in this world, a privileged society still has inequalities that are so great and so hard to overcome that at some point in time, you're not going to leave people with anything else other than, well, it's time to revolt. And it's time to make sure that our messages are heard and that our message is being felt. Because you can't continue to have a society where the income is so vastly different for people who already have more than they'll ever need in life and people who will never have enough of what they need in life. And when you look at Chile, you look at Hong Kong, you look at what's going on in Bolivia, you look at what's going on around the world. Even in like Brooklyn, they tried to do like a price hike on public transportation, and people ended up jumping the turnstiles for that. And so as well as having a huge influence, and they're going to have cameras to take pictures of people's face and things like that. So it's like kind of like a surveillance issue. It's real creepy facial recognition stuff that you should protest that all the time. I don't like that. Yeah, that continuously gets expanded upon no matter who the president is. So that's a problem there. But you just have these situations where you keep on asking the people who are depraved, the people who are not giving who are not given enough to continuously just, all right, we promise it's coming. It's coming. It's going to trickle down to you. Eventually, you're going to get it. Eventually, this corporation getting a tax break is going to increase your wages per hour or whatever. And that's not happening around this country. It's not happening around this world. Like, people are getting sick and tired of it. And all of this stuff is going to come to a head. And what we have right now is an economic populism movement in government, and it's the right, the far right, the fascists versus a more democratic socialist movement, and it's coming to a head. And that's why I think that Bernie Sanders is going to get the nomination, because I think that he speaks to people's concerns and fears, not necessarily in a way that Trump or Boris Johnson does, as far as the dark undertones of like, well, the other guys over there are taken away from you, but in a sense of providing that hope that there's still a better tomorrow. We just gotta interlock our arms together and keep fighting for it. And I think that is all going to come to a head very soon on a global scale, where we're going to have leaders of the U.S. and the UK and Canada and France and Germany not operate under this neoliberal, neoconservative, Ronald Reagan era politics of, making sure that the multinational corporations get the most and everybody else suffers. That can't keep going on. Like, it just can't keep happening. It's an unsustainable future. And it's something that I think that bubble is getting to the point where it's getting ready to burst.
Yeah. Every so often, you get to a point where you have to go extremely to one end or the other. Like, prior to FDR was an extreme conservative, and you came in and you had a brand new deal. And even before, who was it, the Manifest Destiny, he was a conservative before that, and then you came in with one of the presidents of the Manifest Destiny wanted to expand it from seat to shining seat, which is extremely liberal. But and then you go to UK, like, okay, now you got Boris, and then you got a liberal going against them. And that you went one way, and like, okay, because this guy was saying something different, so you went this way, but it didn't work. So now you have to go the other way, and it's going to be a true swing, and hopefully our way works.
Yeah. That's the hope here. That's the fear here, is that we win and there's no next plan. That's why I think that it's important to ride this momentum of populist energy into office, whether it's Jeremy Corbyn winning prime minister or Bernie Sanders winning presidency, or, maybe Lula down in Brazil winning back, some of his power. I think that the most important thing is to continuously apply that pressure and be the leader of the people. Still, I think that it's very important that you mobilize people, that you have them protest, that you have them stand up and demonstrate, and to have the power of your country's country's leader behind you while you're doing that obviously makes a much bigger difference than just being, sporadic groups who pop up here and there to protest something that they deem unfair.
Yeah, you gotta have the cohesion and the communication from top to bottom.
Yeah, inside, outside.
Yeah, transparency.
Yep.
As transparent as you can be. I mean, it's still a government. You can't tell us everything.
That's another topic for another show on whether or not the government should be more or less transparent. But this is going to do it for our second episode of the Black Pulse. Thank you for watching. Thank you for stopping by. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Jordan Swaisland.
I'm tired.
And we thank you for sitting in with us and checking out today's show.